Okay, what's up, guys? So we're back with yet another video, and as usual, we have Achyut and Sadi with us. And so today, what I was thinking was, we've talked about a lot of topics on our channel. We've talked about clubs and societies in college, on-campus placements, off-campus placements, etc. And those are very long videos. So when I was thinking, let's have a couple of very few actionable points, or if there were like, three or four things that each of us would definitely do in our college life, what would they be? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's not wait any further. Let's dive right into 8 things you must do before you graduate college. So when we talk about college, the 8 things you must do before you graduate, the first thing I want to discuss is saying yes to new experience, because college as a whole is a new experience for us. So the first point that we should talk about is saying yes to new experiences. So Sadi, what do you have to say about saying yes in college?
Yeah, so if I were to reflect back on my college right now, to be really honest, one of the biggest regrets that I have is not saying yes to like certain experiences. And I think experiences can be anything. It can be with respect to being a part of like a certain club. It can be hanging around with friends, going on trips. And there have been like multiple instances during college also where, I've said no in the beginning, and then, people kind of convinced me and it became a yes. And then I go for, let's say, like a particular trip and I have like the time of my life, right? So we need to be always open to like a lot of things, a lot of activities that you can do probably in college. And you know what, you never know what would be like the best outcome out of that if you don't really experience it. So that's basically like my take on this particular topic. Yeah, so do you have anything to add?
Yes. Yeah, so very similar to what Sadi said. So there's this author whose books I've read. He's called Robin Sharma. You guys can check him out. So in a lot of videos, he tells this quote, right? Like, a lot of us are busy being busy. Like, we are not doing anything solid, but we are just acting busy doing too many things, and we're just busy, and we are not saying yes to a lot of experiences that come our way, a lot of opportunities that come our way. So I think that is kind of overlays this entire thing about saying yes to new experiences. Like, make sure you, like, when you reflect back upon your college life, right? Like, when I reflect back upon my college life, the things that first come to mind are the times that I spent with people that mean a lot to me. And I don't really look back and think about the semesters, the academics, the work that I did and everything. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind is spending time with the people that I like. And there are a lot of instances where people used to come and call me for having fun, and I'll just be like, no, I'm busy. But I actually didn't have anything of that important that I was doing. So I think it's very important that you say yes to a lot of new experiences, because college is the time that you can afford to do so. Once you graduate college, you're caught up in the rat race, and it's just a whole different world.
Once college is over, if you like try all of these new experiences, you can try out like literally anything that you want to. But as soon as college gets over, it's like a clean slate, and you start fresh, right? So I think that's a time where you can say yes to like literally so many things. That's the beauty of the college environment.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think even one of the regrets I have from college was, there were weekends where, my friends would be like, hey, we should just go on a trip right now. And I would just be like, no, I just want to sit and do nothing. But, I had no idea that, COVID would happen and all the trips would actually never happen. Because I kept telling myself that, hey, I'll go on a lot of trips in final year anyway, it's fine. All the destinations we'll cover like a million times in final year, but we had no idea that that's not going to happen. So definitely, I regret saying yes. I regret not saying yes a couple of times in college. So yeah, I completely agree with that point.
Yeah. And to add to that, I think the unplanned trips are the most fun, right? Like, rather than you having an itinerary to execute,
yeah,
the unplanned trips are the most fun, and that will not happen without you saying yes. And saying yes does not only mean having fun, it also, there's a lot to do on the professional front as well. Like, let's say you get a new opportunity. For example, let's say you're afraid of public speaking, and then there's this public speaking club that's holding selections, right? Like, a lot of people feel, even I have felt this, like, what if people judge me? What if I don't go there and give a bad speech and stuff like that? But at the end of the day, that is not what matters. Like, you facing your fears and going ahead and standing on that stage is kind of half the battle one. So I think it's a very broad topic. We can make an entire video on this.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a fun story with saying yes. So right before I actually joined college, I was reading, people on Quora and who were talking about their first experiences in college because I was curious to I was too excited to I couldn't wait to see what was coming. So I was reading Quora answers, and what exactly happened was, one person had written an answer where on the first day of class, the professor asked who wants to be the class monitor, and this person he just was in a very very positive mood that day. He was super excited and he just raised his hand whatever they told he just raised his hand, and he actually ended up being the class monitor, and that way he got to meet a lot of people in the class right at the starting, right? So, and I actually did the same thing when someone asked who is the class who wants to be the CR of the class, I just raised my hand just like that, and I was actually the CR of the first sem because I did that.
I didn't know this.
Just an interesting story about saying yes.
Yeah. So there is this notion in college that, we need to take very safe decisions and not really that risky, and they don't want to really go on an adventure and everything. But yeah, I feel that people should also say yes to those kinds of experiences where other people have not really done it. It can be, let's say, I know everything that we are talking about is related to trips, but let's say, for example, you taking a trip to some remote place, or going to, let's say, Antarctica, some lot of expeditions that are there. Crazy stuff like this. People have not really done it. Not many people have done it, and so we always go. We hide ourselves, away from all of these opportunities. But I feel that people should start saying yes to all of these, different things.
Yeah. So just a quick disclaimer for the viewers: we are not advising you to do anything life-threatening. So just don't get too crazy. But yes, say yes to new experiences.
True.
So the second point that I want to talk about was exploring career options before we actually decide on one that we want to pursue in the long term, right? So the reason is because most of the people who come into college, they already have a notion of what they want to do. It's either related to the course or maybe unrelated to the course, but they've already fixed on it. But the thing is that they don't realize what avenues college can open up for you. And at that point, when you're 17 years old, 18 years old, we have no idea what's in store and what the world has to offer. Most people don't. So I think it's very important that everyone in college, explores as many career paths or try to see what they're interested in and put efforts to get to know more about it before finally deciding on one. So Achyut, do you have any views on that?
Yeah, very true. So I think undergraduation is the time where you actually have a lot of time to explore, and the repercussions are very less, right? Let's say you actually spend 2 months in an internship thinking this is the field that you're interested in, and at the end of that internship you figure out, okay, this is not what I want to do. There's no loss. You've actually figured something out in your life, right? But if you do this at a later stage, let's say when you're 25, 26 years of age, and then you actually don't know what to do, and now you're going to start experimenting, then the repercussions can be quite severe because you're expected to settle down, you're expected to earn money and all of that. So that way, college is a very, very good time to explore what actually interests you. Just try out a lot of different stuff. And there are multiple avenues that you can do this through as well, through internships, through clubs and societies in college, doing projects on your own, doing online courses. So there are a lot of avenues. So I think it's the best time that you can spend in figuring out what it is that you actually want to build your career in.
Yeah, very, very true. So, usually I think most of the cases, when we are in school and we decide what course that we have to take in college, it's usually our parents or society that kind of always tells us, what course to take, not really blaming anyone, but that's really the case. And even if we were to go back, we would take a very, very similar decision. Slowly I started realizing that there are so many other career paths that are also available. And I'm to be really honest, I'm very, very proud of the way that I decided what career path that I wanted to get in immediately after college. Although I've told this multiple times on this channel, I leverage internships as a way for me to explore multiple career paths. So I did an internship in core engineering, in data analytics, in consulting, in operations, and marketing. And apart from this, a lot of clubs and societies that I was involved in college, which was really, really helpful for me because I was able to get real world understanding of what a day in a life kind of looks like. in all of these different profiles, and it was like a wonderful way for me to like analyze all of these different career paths and then make like a well-informed decision. And I feel that college environment, you need to explore as many career paths as possible like before deciding. It's a very important thing.
Yeah. So yeah, 100% agree. I was also the same. I don't think anyone at school is in a position to actually decide. I think it's a crime. I mean, no one should be in a position where they have to decide their entire life's career at that
Exactly.
age. And so I think it would be like nice to have a college system where you could just be in college and then figure it out. I do think some places have such a system.
Yeah.
But at least we don't here in India.
True.
But yeah, I do think that would help a lot of students. This point where they should just keep exploring and understand that they don't have to limit themselves to the course that they're studying or the path that they fix. They should always be more open. So again, this also I think overlaps with saying yes to exploring new career paths, and even if it's unrelated to what you're doing, it might end up being interesting. You have no idea.
Yeah, and Vijay, you mentioned like a very interesting point that, in a lot of other universities, maybe there is a way for you to like explore multiple career paths. I feel that's like kind of like an issue with the Indian education system itself. Like I think mine is IASC, because IASC has a format where the first year that you immediately get into IASC, you get to explore like all of the branches. I think it's predominantly sciences, but you get to explore like physics, chemistry, biology, computer sciences and everything. And then second year, you kind of like start specializing, which I feel is like a very, really good model, right? I've also noticed this model in, Columbia University, where they're, they have like a separate degree called as general studies, if I'm not really wrong, where, they can take electives from like multiple different areas and, they can specialize in like a few later on. And they have like courses on stuff like Game of Thrones, strategies related to that, the politics in Game of Thrones. They talk about religious stuff like, there's a course on Krishna. And there, on the other hand, there is also like economics, microeconomics, psychology, there is science, and there are so many, right? So I feel that the Indian education system is like a little bit restrictive, but since we are living in the internet era, it's very, very easy for us to also explore a lot of these things, even though our college is not providing us like a platform.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So in case any of the viewers, have no idea and they are open to this kind of a model, maybe you can look into colleges like IISc Columbia. I'm sure there are more colleges as well. So maybe you can look into those. Right. So the third point that, we should talk about, the third thing that everyone in college should do before they graduate would be to build a network, right? And I think, there is a popular saying called network is equal to net worth. So, is there any truth to it in what we've seen? And I think we have done a bit of networking, and I definitely think that, your network can determine your net worth. So do you guys have any views on that?
Yeah, definitely I agree with that particular statement. Like, if I were to look at the person who I am today, I would say like it's primarily or at least like majorly dependent on the network. And when I look at a network, I'm not just talking about like, seniors or people who are there in the industry. It can be even your immediate seniors inside college or even your juniors. Like if I were to look at my whole college experiences, it was just like Achyut mentioned, right? 10, 15 years down the line, it would just be the relationship that I've built with my seniors and juniors is what something that I'll always remember. And I feel that, it's absolutely amazing the amount of things that I've learned through that particular experience. The fact that, I was able to get into Bain was because of, proper networking with like a lot of people. So it's absolutely true. If you look at things like 5 years down the line, when you're switching from your immediate job to something else, it's very important. And your network that's where your network kind of comes into the picture. So it's really helpful for people to learn how do you network and build relationships with a lot of people so that it will be helpful for them 20, 30 years, down the line. So yeah, that's my point of view. Achyut, do you have anything else to add?
Yes. Yeah. So quick thing before I go into my point. So Sadi mentioned this thing called TNP, right? So TNP is basically the training and placement office. In NIT Trichy, it's called TNP. In different colleges, it can be called different things, but it's basically the placement office that kind of brings companies down for placement. So for people who didn't understand, just making that quick clarification. So so talking about networking, right? So I think so when you say a lot of influencers keep telling this like when you're networking, you should offer something that adds value to the other person, so you can get something in return from them, right? And that is how networking has to work. It's a two-way relationship and everything. But one thing that I have noticed, I think Sadi and Vijay have also noticed this, college students have this amazing kind of power where you don't really need to offer any significant value as such to the other person, because people are just very enthusiastic to help out college students if you approach them in a proper manner, right? The mentors that we got for our student consulting club, we didn't really have anything to offer from our end. We were just asking for help, like, hey, please come and help us with projects, like we are Clueless. And when we reached out to alumni, when we reached out to people who are non-alums, they are very open to help us because they were excited that a young group of people are actually trying something out, right? And that is kind of the biggest leverage that you have as a college student while networking. Because once, like right now, all three of us have graduated college and working in a company. So right now, if I reach out to someone, I have to give them something in return when I'm approaching them, right? Like I can very clearly notice it. And so yes, that is the one point that I want to convey, as in just reach out to as many people, ask for a lot of help. Like asking for help is a beautiful thing. Like you get it. You never, like you keep thinking people judge, but you actually get it like when you are a college student. So just go ahead, network with a lot of people, ask for help, and try to figure out what it is you want to do.
Yeah, and another thing is about networking, I've noticed is that people actually love, I think this is human nature, but people actually love talking about themselves, right? And a lot of people, to be very honest, they love talking about themselves. So when you're asking them, they love giving their opinions and their views. I mean, the negative side may be that, there is bias in everyone's opinion. You have to sort of figure that out for yourself. But the best part is that people are very willing to, talk to you, get on a call with you, talk about their experiences because they feel that it would help you. So I think human nature sort of, helps us out in that sense. So we don't have to necessarily be like shy or anything. We can just directly reach out to them.
Yeah.
The other thing I think about networking is that when you look at the, the social ladder or the corporate ladder, I feel like network, or the people you surround yourself with, really propels your career and your life. Because, if you look at what a top institution does or a top university does, it just repeatedly keeps putting you in social circles that consist of high performing individuals, right? So when you are in that environment, you just end up doing much more than you would if you were by yourself, or if you were in like a, no hate towards like lower tier universities. But when you are in an IIT, you become successful because you're in that environment and you're surrounded by people who have a lot of work capacity and they are super smart and all of that. So when you're in that circle, and again, when you go to a higher institution, which is better than IIT, you graduate to an even better circle. So basically, it's just giving you a network. Every layer that you go up on is just giving you a better and better network. And I feel that's why people end up being successful. Like you can't help it. When you know that many people who are doing so much, you'll just end up, being like them at some point. That's generally what I feel the education system gives us.
That's
Yeah, I think very quick point. So just reflecting back upon my JEE preparation, right? So I know the context is different, but the reason I was actually motivated to prepare for JEE was because whenever I go to school, like I just look around and literally hundreds of people are just open with their books and solving problems, and that is what motivated me to actually take out my book and solve problems. Like, so that is kind of a very, how do I put it? Like it's a very powerful thing where you have people around you working at a very, like they have a very good work ethic and everybody is kind of high performing. You automatically kind of adapt to that and become one amongst those high performing individuals.
Yeah,
so
that's very true. And I would like to add like one more point. It's an interesting thing that I've read. Might not be like completely related to this particular point, but I was researching about like B school, right? And I was reading this book by a Stanford alum. He wrote about his whole experiences, being inside Stanford and how prestigious the institute is and everything. And he made this very powerful statement that Stanford usually takes successful people and gives out successful people. So that's literally it, right? So similarly for most of the colleges also, if you look at it, like all the smartest people are kind of there in like one closed environment, and it's only the people through the people that you learn, the most. So it's very important that you surround yourself with the right kind of people and focus on building that network, for the next like 30, 40 years and everything. Yeah. And fun fact, like even my mom, she always tells me, make sure that you network with doctors, especially from your school. Yeah, because in the future, you definitely have to like reach out to them for any kind of medical help that you have. But yeah, all my medical friends who are watching this, don't take this the wrong way. This is just something that my mom told me.
Yeah, so I think we've covered networking pretty well. I think we got some really good insights there. So the next point that we think every college student should do, or at least what worked for us, is learning to be self-aware, right? And when we say learn to be self-aware to you guys, to the viewers, what we mean is put conscious efforts towards understanding yourself more. So I just want to ask you guys, like, what have you guys done to understand yourselves more? Have you taken any sort of effort towards that?
Yeah, so I think this is something, again, like a topic that I would say that I'm very passionate about. I've made the statement passionate about like multiple times in the past, but yeah, self-awareness I feel is one of the most important things out of like the 8 things that we're going to tell today, right? So for me, my journey of self-awareness kind of started during the COVID period. So another topic that I feel is very important is like making decisions in your whole life, right? So I feel when making decisions, a lot of people, they just take decisions like blindly just by following whatever their parents are saying or whatever society is saying, and they just do it because everyone is doing it, so it just makes sense for me. But it's not really the case, and 15 years down the line, and they'll be like super sad that this is not really for me, and then there'll be this midlife crisis and everything. And that's kind of where self-awareness really, really comes into play. If you're able to understand what is something that genuinely motivates you, what do you want from life, what are some good things about you, what are some bad things about you, it's all of these things will be very, very helpful. And if you're able to understand yourself much better, you can take much better decisions for yourself, right? So there is this thing with respect to consulting. This is something that I've always thought about. In management consulting, you're helping all of these organizations, and you're trying to solve all of their problems, right? So for them, there is always like certain things that we're trying to optimize for. So that is like relatively easy. So those things are basically like profit. If let's say you have to maximize for profit, or it can be like certain other metrics. But in our personal life, when we are making decisions, we don't even have such things, right? We just blindly take all of these decisions, and shit just happens. So I feel that you are able to understand what your metrics are. I'm not trying to phrase it like a metric, but you need to understand what is it that you want out of life, define all of those points. It will be like very, very helpful. So like, this is my point of view on this topic.
Yeah. I think Sadi put it very beautifully. So one thing is when he talked about metrics, right? Like I think the 3 of us have spoken about this earlier. Like it's to find out guiding principles that will guide your life and guide any decision that you take, right? So and guiding principles can be anything, like according to you. And there are some like if you talk about guiding principle or guiding metrics, there are some controversial metrics as well. Like, do you want to optimize your life for money? Do you want to optimize your life for fame? Or do you want to optimize your life for some kind of charity or self-satisfaction? So it's not wrong to optimize your life for money, according to me. So if like you identify what it is that actually motivates you and why do you want to get there, like it's not only important to identify what it is, but also the purpose behind why you're choosing that particular metric. And it's a very philosophical kind of topic, and I am not an expert in this, but I have spent I've spent some time thinking about, okay, what it is that I want to do. And I feel a lot of decisions that you take, right, with respect to career, with respect to kind of relationships that you build, and with respect to literally everything in your life, when you're self-aware or when you're consciously doing it, then the results are like you're satisfied with the results. I don't know if it's making sense.
No, definitely.
But that is what.
That's really.
Yeah. So that. So and a lot of things we just do thoughtlessly, just because the entire world is doing it, right? Like we are not conscious about everything that we do. Like, for example, in our education system itself, like when our professor walks in and says, "This is how you solve a problem," like we are like, okay, I'll solve every problem of this type using this method. Like we never question like why are we doing it? Like we are not consciously doing stuff. I know education problem solving is different from what we are talking about, but just to give you an analogy so that you can relate to what I'm saying a little bit more. So think of the problem that your professor gave, like that, but think of philosophical problems in your life. And then there are set methods in the world already to solve those problems, but will that work for you? Necessarily not. Like you have to find out what is it that will work for you.
Yeah.
So that is about self-awareness for
And
me.
yeah.
Like I'm not an expert. Like I just told what came to my mind. Like you guys, like everyone watching this video, you can feel free to comment down below. What is it? What does self-awareness mean to you? What metrics or what guiding principles that you have in your life? The three of us will be very happy to read through the comments and get to know
Yeah,
more.
and also there's another interesting
Vijay.
point with respect to like psychology, because I've been reading about this like a lot. So there's like the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and if you look at our day-to-day decisions that we take, like most of them, I would say like 80-90% of the decisions that we take is because of the subconscious mind. And usually, our major life-changing decisions, because of this particular process, we just allow our subconscious mind to take it up. Right, and it's not really the case that your subconscious mind, the decisions that you take through that is like always right, because your subconscious mind, like it's a factor of multiple things: your innate nature, your external environment, you looking at other people for yourself. So it's important that through self-awareness you try to identify how your subconscious mind works and everything, identify what motivates you, what drives you and everything, and then try to make decisions a bit more consciously. Like I'm not like, this is not like scientifically backed or anything, but yeah, this is just like my interpretation of what self-awareness means.
Yeah, I don't think the viewers should not take us too seriously on this particular topic. It's super philosophical, and if you start thinking about it, I don't think there's like there'll be an end to it. I think it'll probably take you like an entire lifetime, maybe more, to figure all this out. But yeah, I think whatever we talked about makes sense. And I think if I were to talk about certain activities that that the viewers could take action on immediately to be more self-aware, I think for me personally, journaling has helped in realizing what motivates me, or what do I think about something or someone, what do I think about fame, money, goals in life, all of these things. Journaling has definitely helped me get more clarity on those. But I think, are there any specific habits that you guys have picked up that can help the viewers out?
So for me at least, one of the most important things that, like, useful things that has worked out for me is that whenever I do like certain activity, I kind of come back to my room. I literally isolate myself and I think about how I behaved, what motivated me, because a lot of instances it was always just like my subconscious mind telling me to do something and I'll just do it. And then I'll start thinking about, I would consciously start thinking about, why I did that, what made me do something like that. And again, it's like a spiral and it keeps me going down the rabbit hole and everything. But yeah, I think that has been like really, really helpful. And it has really helped me change like certain behaviors. So that is something that has always worked for me. Like just meditating on your behaviors and thinking about all of the actions that you do in your day-to-day life, and just trying to see what's good, what's bad, and then trying to like modify it.
Yeah, and I think talking about what has helped, like what practices that I do, like I think the purpose of this YouTube channel itself is to kind of become more self-aware, right? For the three of us. So one thing that helps me a lot is, so I tried journaling, but I don't really have the discipline to sit down every day and write. So that didn't work out for me. So one thing that I do is very simple: just consume a lot of content. I try to understand very different perspectives. And then as Sadi said, this is also something that I do. Once something happens, like once I feel the result is like, why did this happen? Like this is not what I expected to happen, but something has happened, and I sit back and think, like what caused it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of drill down to what actually motivated you to do that and how you can change it. So reflecting back upon your actions and the results, or causes and effects, will help you a lot. And consuming a lot of content, understanding different perspectives, talking to a lot of people will also help you.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So hopefully the viewers of this video can, take some of these points and start working on those and, become a little more self-aware. So the next point, which is point number 5 that I want to talk about, was build meaningful relationships, right? So, and the reason I thought, I want to talk about this point is because uh, in college we have a lot of free time, especially in undergrad. So once when I did my internship at ISB, which is a business school, and everybody who, the candidates over there are significantly older. They've had a few years of professional work experience and all of that, so they're significantly a little more older, and the program over there is super short and super intense, and you finish it in 1 year and you leave, right? So the thing I noticed was that compared to our life at NIT Trichy, people were hustling a lot more. So, people knew what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go, and they were just working towards that. But in NIT Trichy, you see a lot of young people, and there's a lot more energy between them, and they're ready to spend time with others just for the sake of spending time. So I feel like undergraduate degree is a very good place where you have the time to kill, and you have the time to build meaningful relationships and friendships that can last a lifetime. Because I feel like you may not have the time and energy to do it once you're out of college. You won't have too much of time energy for it. So that's what I want to talk about this point. So how have you guys gone about building meaningful relationships in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think bringing back the point that I said for the first thing, right, saying yes to new experiences, which was in undergraduation, you actually have a lot of time to explore and a lot of stuff that you can do, and the repercussions are less, right? So let's say you're 25, 26 years of age. Now your objective in life is to, it might not be for everyone, but for most of the people is to kind of settle down, get a steady job. It'll be very different for a lot of people, but kind of the society in general moves towards settling down and kind of getting a steady job, earning money, and living a good life. So that is the objective. And over there, you don't really have a lot of time to go ahead, talk to a lot of new people, and figure out if your interests align, and then build relationships. That is a lot of extra effort. But when you're in college, you don't really have much to do. You have a lot of time to kill. And so, and the beautiful thing about living in a hostel is 24 hours, 7 days of the week, you're surrounded with people of the same age and people who kind of share the same values, people who share the same perspective. So it's very easy to find people to be friends with, to build relationships with. And genuinely, college, the relationships that you build in college has the most potential to last for an entire lifetime, is what I feel, compared to school, compared to building relationships in the office. I think that college relationships are on a league of their own.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And a very philosophical take again on this particular topic is that at the end of the day, it's the relationships that you have with people, be it your family or your friends, is what gonna matter, and it'll give you more joy than whatever work that you're doing or the money that you have. And this took me a lot of time to realize. When I was in college, I was very social, but like I just feel that I did not like work on building that many good relationships with some people, and I was a little bit like close, is what I kind of felt if I reflected back on my journey. And right now we are at this time of like farewells and everything. Everyone is going to like a different stage in life. We're all college students. All my close friends are like graduating. Last 2-3 days I've just been spending like a lot of time farewells, saying goodbye to people and everything. And you know what? It definitely feels really, really good, right? At the end of the day, people don't really remember what the other person has said. They just remember how they made you feel, right? So that's a really, really like
Nice.
powerful thing. Like again, in the future, that those are the things that we will remember. It's the emotions that are there that we would cherish. The fact that the two of you, the relationship that I've built with both of you, is something that I'll take for the next like multiple years of my life. And the YouTube channel is probably like a way for us to like keep in touch also. There are like so many reasons why we started this,
Yeah.
but you know what? These are things that matters at the end of the day, which I feel, and learning from all of these experiences, it's really, really great. So
Yeah.
make sure that I have a lot of regrets, to be really honest, from my college life, and I would have done things a little bit differently when it comes to like building relationships and friendships with like certain people. I've done a lot of mistakes, but looking back at that experience right now, I feel that it's something that everyone should consciously work towards, because that really like matters.
Yeah, so one thing to add is very beautiful points from Sadi. So just one thing to add following it is, according to me, you have to spend more time with the people you like rather than doing things you like. This is something that I say a lot, right? Because I know a lot of times where I like doing things you like can be sitting inside your room playing video games or going out playing football. Like it can be a lot of things. But at the end of the day, which really like these are things that I really love doing and I'm really passionate about. But when I look back on my college life, what I remember, the first thing that comes to my mind is just sitting in some night canteen and talking with people over some Maggie. Like that is what comes to my mind first. So it's very uh, whatever Sadi said is very true. Like the the relationships that you build is what kind of matters at the end, which is very very true. So do that. College is the best time to do it.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, which is the sixth point, is establishing a career moat, right? So I think a lot of our viewers may not exactly be familiar with what a career moat is, but the meaning is pretty simple. Sadi, can you quickly, define what a career moat is for us?
Got it. Sure. So my interpretation of what a career mode is basically anything that gives you like a competitive advantage. So it can be any kind of a skill set, any kind of experience that you have, which is very, very rare, but has like a lot of demand in the market. And I feel that everyone should work towards building such career modes. So if you look at like the historical perspective as to how this particular word came about, so, the medieval ages, there used to be all of these castles. And around that, there used to be like a lake along with like alligators and crocodiles and everything that basically prevents enemies from entering the castle or that particular territory. So that whole establishment acts like a moat. And this is something very similar, which we have to bring to our own personal career also and try to actively build that so that it acts like a safety net. So that's basically what career modes is all about.
Yeah. So so thanks for that definition. I think it's super clear to the viewers now. So the reason we recommend a career mode or we feel that a career mode is important is because times are changing very very fast, and now there's a lot of automation coming in, and a lot of the jobs can be done remotely. So a lot of things are becoming irrelevant, but a lot of new things are becoming relevant as well. So I feel like the job market, in a few years later, the job market keeps changing. So the job market in the next couple of years, we have no idea what it'll look like. So we have to, sort of think, a little bit long term and try to see if we will be relevant in that day and age when the time does come, because it's going to come for sure. We can't prevent it, but I think we should try and see if there is any way we can also stay relevant so that our career is on track and we are happy. So that's why a career moat is pretty important. And and that's why a college student should always think a little bit long term and focus on that. So what are the various ways in which a college student can establish such a moat for himself or herself?
Yeah. So when it comes to career modes, it's again like a very very interesting thing. The world, it's super open. There are literally so many things that you can do, but like a couple of areas that I feel would be that the first one is this concept called as skill stacking, right? So anyone, let's take for example like a software developer. Okay, he or she can learn skills in order to like build a lot of digital products. If you're able to combine, let's say that person also knows something related to the finance space. So in that particular case, they can build products for like the fintech market or the fintech industry. So that's something like a career mode where you have like, which is also comes under like the skill stacking model, where you have like two different skills, like your expertise and knowledge about the finance world and your ability to build digital products, which kind of stack together, which gives you like a niche, right? And puts you in a very unique position. So even when it comes to like an engineer, right? It's not just enough if an engineer knows all of the technical stuff. It's very, very important sometimes for that person to understand some things related to like marketing, basic communication, ability to influence other people so that they try to understand and talk to their own customers for whatever product that they are trying to make and understand what are the difficulties or needs of the users and then like make a particular product. So that's the reason why skill stacking is very, very important. And that as a career mode, if you can build it, it would be like very, very helpful so that it helps you like multiple years down in the future. So I would say that's probably one career mode that you can build. The second career mode is something along the lines of a personal brand. the fact that, we are doing this YouTube channel itself, I would say that is one way that we are trying to build like a career mode, right? So it's a personal brand that we are trying to build for the next like 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, so that, a lot of people get to know us, and we really don't know, right, what are the opportunities that we might get, through this channel, a lot of different things, not like the sole reason why we are doing it, but it's definitely one of the different things. And a personal brand these days can be build through like multiple channels. You can be like a content creator, maybe in LinkedIn. Who knows? You can be like, you can just do it on TikTok also. Or, okay, TikTok is banned. So let's say Instagram Reels. So there is multiple areas where you can just create like informative content and, build your personal brand. You can have your own blog. There are so many things that you can do. And it definitely opens doors in the future. So I would say that these are two career modes that, according to me, or something that I am trying to like, work towards. Achyut, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so one thing to add is from what Sadi said. So what you can infer is it's always good to build one or two core skills, right? Like, for example, if you're an engineer and if you're a computer science engineer, let's say coding is your core skill, but there are millions of people who just do coding. So what are supplementary skills that you can build around your core skill that will kind of put you at a unique position compared to all your peers, right? So if you can identify that one or two core skills and then build multiple supplementary skills around it, that put you at will give you an edge over everyone else. So that is what you can infer from this. And one more thing that, again, it's a little bit of a controversial topic, and now the importance for this is coming down, but anyway, it's still valued, is your resume, right? So when I talk about resume, it's having big brands on your resume. So we can very clearly see that the trend for in recruiters is kind of people are actually looking for skills rather than brands. Like that trend has already started happening, but nevertheless, having big brands on your resume speaks for it on its own, right? So that is something that all of you guys can try to do, right? Be it, let's say you're interested. I'll take my case. So let's say I'm interested in the FMCG industry. I go and try to get an internship or try to get a project from a very big brand out there, right? And so I can put it on my resume, which speaks for itself. So that is a third kind of category of career modes that you can build up.
And also there's this huge argument, what should recruiters look at skill sets? Should they look at all of these big brands and everything? If you think about everything from the point of view of a recruiter, you need to understand that they have just like 24 hours in a day, and it's impossible for them to literally analyze, every person who's applying, just look at all of their skill sets and then probably like recruit. And that's where brands kind of come into the picture, where you already have some external organization or an external entity has done some kind of screening process already. Let's say if you're getting to work in a very, very good company, like, okay, take my example. I'm getting to work at like Bain & Company. And because of that, that's like a brand which is there in my profile that would be really helpful for the next like 5-10 years. When I'm, let's say in the future, if I'm applying to like some other company, it will be like very helpful, or for that matter, any kind of opportunity, because it's very competitive to get into. And a lot of people in the industry kind of realize that it's very competitive to get into. So they don't have some amount of, that screening process is already over by that time. So I feel that everyone should start thinking again about all of their career decisions, everything that they take in terms of career modes also. So that gives them some kind of like job security, and it will be very easy for them to like, get a lot more opportunities in the future.
Got it. Yeah, I think it makes sense. And, I hope the viewers sort of realize, what a career mode is and how they can go about building a career mode. But again, these are just a few examples that are like that we've seen, but maybe there are other ways to do it as well, which we have no idea about. But yeah, I would encourage the viewers to sort of explore and sort of find out how they can build a mode for themselves. Yeah, so that's cool. I think we've definitely covered, what a career mode is and how some of our viewers can go about building a career mode. And these are just the methods that we mentioned. Again, they're only specific to our experiences and from what we've seen, but there may be other ways to do this as well. So the next point, we're nearing the end of the video, 2 points left. And so the next point, which is point number 7, is pick up a hobby that you can exhibit. So I think, Sadi, can you tell us why this is important to have such a hobby, and why a hobby that you can exhibit?
Yeah, sure. So I don't want to really say that this is like a very important thing, but I feel that it's very helpful. Like hands down, one of the most helpful things that It is for me. Like, so just telling a little bit about myself. So I'm like a Western vocalist. So I was part of the music group in college and everything. So I've like performed multiple times. And so I can sing like decently. So the thing is that for me, like music acts like a weapon, right? So wherever I go, like, be it any kind of internships or any kind of gatherings where there are like people around. So usually when everyone is just like chilling and everything, so conversation always kind of goes into, can you sing? Can you perform something or something like that, right? So at that time, I usually just sing and, I kind of like impress people, I would say, but I don't want to really like boast or anything. But yeah, so when that happens, you force some kind of relationship with them. And they also admire you that, you have this additional skill set. And it shows that you're an interesting person who's not just into like certain things, your work, acads and everything, right? So this has been like a very, very powerful weapon for me because everywhere I go, I just make sure that I sing at least like once and people all around the office like kind of get to know me, right? So the fact that you have like a hobby that you can easily show to other people is super, super helpful. So that is out of like my personal experience. Or what is it for you?
Yeah. So I can very, very clearly contrast my life before the lockdown and after the lockdown, right? Because it was during the lockdown that when I picked up two hobbies that I can exhibit. So, and the keyword here is exhibit, right? So as in, like, can you, like, if you're in front of a group of people with your colleagues or with, the leadership team of your company, and then you all are just chatting around, and then if you can actually show them some hobby right then and right there and impress them, it's so powerful. Like, I felt it because before the lockdown, my hobbies, my kind of extracurriculars that I was focusing on was sports. So I used to play a lot of sports, and I can play sports pretty well, football and cricket. But the thing is, I can't show it to anyone, right? Like, unless we go for. So it was always very difficult for me to show that I'm an interesting person because it just can't happen. But it was during the lockdown when I picked up two skills. One was playing the guitar. I taught it, I self-taught myself. And second was performing magic tricks, which is very unique. Not a lot of people can tell that they know how to perform magic tricks. So I've experienced after that, right? So I just carry a deck of cards around with me and I walk up to people and be like, hey, can I perform a trick for you right now? And I can just show them right then and right there, and they're very impressed, right? Like, because they're actually fooled by the trick that I do. And it works very well. Like, it's a very good conversation starter. It's a very good icebreaker, and you can build your relationship from there. So I think it's not compulsory, but it's a very big competitive edge if you have
exactly
hobby that you can exhibit. And it's not like, you should not have hobbies like reading books or, following films. That's always there. But having an exhibitable hobby that you can do instantaneously goes a long way in helping build connections.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think that's very interesting. So I think for our message for the viewers is that, don't, so build a hobby because you like it. And if you can exhibit it, if it is possible, I think that would definitely be a plus point for you in a lot of places. We're not saying that the hobbies that you already have are useless or something. As long as you enjoy them, it's fine. But yes, being an interesting person overall will help you build a lot of connections because, even now I've noticed, when I say, okay, I run a YouTube channel with my friends, people are immediately curious. Like, what is it about? What are you guys doing? Can I watch? Can you send me the link? All of that. So try to be like a more interesting person so that you can stand out in meetings and people remember you as, okay, the guy that does this or the guy that knows this. Like, okay, so that's a really cool thing, especially, virtually when we don't, talk or get to meet a lot of people. It's a pretty good way. So, okay, so we've covered that. And the last point that we have for the day is build or at least work in a team towards a common goal. And I think this is something that we've definitely seen, because we headed the consulting club, 180 Degrees Consulting in our college in IIT Trichy. So build or at least work in a team towards a common goal. So the reason I think this point is very, very important is this gives you sort of a glimpse of what skills you can actually take to the corporate world. Because where you'll be working in teams, you'll build skills like teamwork, leadership, how do you work in a team. So you learn a lot about yourself and you can easily carry those things to the corporate world. And in fact, I would say, I would, go a bit further and actually say that building and leading a team in college is can actually give you more experience than your initial phase in the corporate world, because you have a lot of freedom there. You have a lot of freedom to do things that you want. Whereas, you're not bound by anything. You can try out new things. You can fail. You can do absolutely, whatever you want, and you can just follow your heart and go for it. What do you guys think, and what are your experiences of, building a team or working in a team in college?
Yeah, so yes, so this definitely one of the most kind of rewarding experiences that we have had in college, which was working together in 180 Degrees Consulting. So one thing for the viewers, right? If I can put some perspective into this point. So when you are in school, the end result of school is individualistic, as in what is your percentage in the board exams, like, and then do you have a good score? End of your college is again individualistic, like, do you have a good degree? What are your skills? Like, what is your CGPA and stuff like that. But when you get into the corporate world or even a startup, right, like, the end result is always for the company, or kind of collectively a lot of people own the end result, and there's no individual, like, yes, you can be the best performer in the company, that is different, but the public perception is always the company is doing well. It's not like, a certain employee the public will not point out. So that way, building or working in a team selflessly, as in you help out everyone, all of you work towards a common goal, goes a long way in giving you that experience, that first glimpse into what it is actually like to lead a professional life, whether in a corporate or a startup. So, and as Vijay said, a very big advantage is there are not too many rules that you're bound by. You can just try out a lot of stuff. So it's a fantastic experience. 100% everyone watching the video, try to be at least part of a team that's doing it, if you're not able to lead a team, because that will itself give you a lot of perspective.
So I think Achyut and Vijay already put across their points like beautifully, so I don't really have much to say. But yeah, reflecting back on my personal experience, I would say that being a part of a club and leading a team and being a part of it has been one of the most rewarding experiences for me, at least. So if I were to like prioritize, definitely this particular point would kind of come on the top, primarily because through this you can achieve all of the other 7 things also. So I think that's basically like the power of being a part of like an organization or a club. So I think that's the first point that I want to say. And the second thing is that I think we've already covered in detail about like why should people or students join clubs and societies. So we'll probably link that video somewhere at the top so that others can probably look into that and try to understand our point of view on this particular topic. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Cool. Yeah. So I think we captured that point really well. And yeah, definitely, I feel like we should have maybe told this in the beginning, because it's a super important point and it can help us achieve a lot of the other points. And yeah, so I think, that sort of brings us to the end of the video. But, just for the viewers, these are just the 8 things that we think everybody should do, but there can definitely be more points. So if there are more points, please, you can comment down below and we would love to read your opinions. And other than that, yeah, so these are the 8 things that we feel our viewers can try out before they graduate college. And yeah, we'll see you soon.